Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Red 5 checking it.
I actually could hear you guys through this ridiculous X-Wing pilot helmet I have on that
I saw that it had a microphone.
Get me out of this thing!
I saw it had a mic. For a second, I thought you could just like plug that into your computer.
Oh, no, that is purely cosmetic.
Oh, man. Bro, if I had that level of Rebel pilot helmet and it could plug into my computer as a full communication system, I would wear that every day.
Oh, it does like lights and stuff. So like, I think I got it on Hoth right now. So like, it should make some noise.
Oh, you can hear R2. Yeah.
Oh, it does like.
All right, so for the podcast audience just listening to this, has no idea what the hell is happening.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thanks, Kenny.
Rob was wearing a Star Wars X-Wing pilot helmet during that intro.
I thought
Fully
it would be
amazing
cooler.
looking.
And now we know why I don't wear hats, because I automatically DH.
I'm a little jealous. I'm gonna lie. That's a pretty cool helmet. How much was that, Rob?
I got this pretty cheap. I mean, for what it is, I think it was right around Black Friday. I got it for like $125, and then
That's not bad for a prop of that level. It's good.
Yeah, they go for they're the Black Series ones. They go for like $2-ish now, sometimes more. You can find them.
Might have to look into that.
They go in and out of stock, and it's all adjustable. It's nice. It's it's not like. I don't know if I'd spend much more than that on it, though.
I'm not sad that your Star Wars helmet's movie quality and mine's not.
You have a Star Wars helmet too?
No, that's a Star Brothers reference.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chewbacca masks.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm just maintaining our trend of 100% always.
For a second, I was like, I'm the only one who doesn't have a cool prop. Like, I'm going to have to go buy some.
No, I definitely don't have one of those.
You got
the other thing I need to do is I was looking in my closet earlier and I forgot I had that like life-size bolter replica that I won from Clutch City a couple of years ago. I need to like mount that on the wall back here.
That'd be dope.
You'd like it. It's a Blood Angels one.
I do like it.
Blood Angels Artificer bolt gun.
I'm back on my Blood Angels project, so anything to get me hype. Finished that land speeder and my webinar today. Took me about I'd say about 5 hours of paint time for my test model. So it's not too bad. It's like if I can keep that pace, like 25 more hours of paint time to get them to that place. There's some sacrifices in there. Use some oil tech, but getting passionate about painting 6 land speeders is hard.
That's a dated model for sure.
Oh my god! I mean,
I almost feel like
I think I burned myself out just building the fuckers. You know what I mean? That's why I sat on it for a year. I literally went back to my files and I was like, oh my god, it's been a year since I even looked at this stuff.
Yeah.
So I put it in a closet so I couldn't look at it.
3D printing is I just printed all my armatures out in like one piece.
and then you drummed them.
I did.
I mean, Wyatt found the score of like the old Snap Kit ones that they sold with paint pots.
Ooh, yeah, the Revel kits. How are you supposed to say it? There was another one too. I forget. Was it an attack bike? I think it was an attack bike. It was like,
yeah, the ones they were trying to like market to like model stores and shit.
Yeah, you can find them you can buy them at Hobby Lobby or not Hobby Lobby.
Is it Revel or
Hobby
Testers?
I think it was Revel. You can get them at Hobby Towns and stuff, and they were like 2-piece kits.
Yeah, dude. And I got them cheaper than retail because the guy was selling them as a lot.
Kara Quinn says once they drop points in the new speeder, those old ones, it's still 70 points, man.
Yeah,
it's like cheaper than a Rhino. It's better at every capacity.
Yeah, that seems.
It's like
really good.
If you look at the land speeders, not as necessarily a prime offensive tool, Kara Quinn, but more of a how you move around the table and win the game tool. it really starts showing its math, like on how good they are in that capacity. And they just got a buff, man. Armor content, fucking 70-point land speeders.
Yeah. Sick.
Dog.
I won a Razorback the other day, and I totally forgot that they took away the Psy Cannon from Grey Knight Razorbacks.
Oh yeah, I used to have the Psy
Because it was
Cannon.
Forge World.
Yeah, because they were like, you get like one kit of like $40 or less as price support off the shelf, and I was like, oh fuck yeah, let's go. And then I saw the Razorback kit, and I was like, well, I need a Rhino, and it makes a Rhino. But then I thought in my head, like, I'm building up Grey Knights, and like, oh, they could put a Psy Cannon on a Razorback. I remember those. Like, I should do that. And then I got home and I looked and I was like, oh, you can't do that anymore. Sadness.
I have definitely pressure cast a couple of those back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you can still put a twin heavy bolter on it, and that's,
Just as good.
image shots. It's useful.
Yeah, so let's jump into our joke segment. Let's roll out to Wyatt's Cave of Wonders and touch nothing but the lamp.
Would you rather only be able to shower fully clothed, or anytime you go in public, you have to wear clothes that are way too small?
Yikes. Anytime I go into public, I have to wear clothes that are way too small. Okay, so like if I'm going to put jeans on, like, is it the tightest jeans possible that's still like latch closed?
Or are they going to like hike up?
Yeah, it's an ordeal to go
But like,
on.
but it's not like I have to put jeans on that literally can't latch, right? Like it's the tightest fit possible that latches still.
Yeah, but you're straight legging it.
I got it.
You're not bending them knees.
No, I got it. Okay, so like it's shirt wise the same thing. Like literally, if I can't fit my head through it, the aperture it's not wearable. But it has to be like the tightest possible shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Tightest possible hoodie, everything, right?
Yeah.
Shoes too, or can I just have normal shoes?
Nope, everything.
Damn.
What if you don't have to shower?
I don't think that's the thing, Rob.
What is this? What is this?
Pretty sure that's unhealthy.
Define fully clothed.
Let's talk about the real questions here.
Full on dressed.
I'm dressed right now.
You got pants on?
I do.
Okay, then
I mean, I have gym shorts on.
Yeah. You can't change clothes.
No, I got it. I can't change the
shower though.
Like this is what I would normally wear at this time of the day before I took a shower.
Yeah.
I think I'd take a shower with these clothes on. I'll make it work.
I don't feel like you're gonna get clean, but with
I will. He didn't say I couldn't like lift the shirt up and let the water get under it. You know what I mean? Like, I just have to. I have this layer of annoyance that I have to like scrub under and shit. And then as soon as I get out of the shower, I'm taking those clothes off and toweling off. I just got to make sure I do my laundry more often so that like I'm not,
I mean, I feel like you're doing your laundry when you shower.
Yeah, that's what I'm, well, yeah. Well, also, I don't want to. I mean, that's true. Actually, that's actually a really good point. It's actually to save a lot of time if I work this in, because then I'll just get a bathroom. I'll just get a bathroom hanger situation. Just hang them right there.
Yeah, and just just let them air dry.
This is actually like kind of the only answer in my opinion. This is like good for the environment. Good for my bills.
Why do we not do this currently?
It's because the soap you use to clean your body is not the same type of soap you need to clean and refresh the material in your clothes.
Well, the genie needs to figure this shit out.
It's not his job.
Stay in your lane, genie.
Yeah.
What about a bath? The spoiler asks. Yeah, imagine you have to bathe in all circumstances. Mm-hmm. If I know the genie. Yeah, I'm gonna shower with my clothes on.
Okay.
I just can't wear tight shoes. Like if you said I can get a pass on shoes, then I would do.
Shoes are a problem.
I'd wear the smallest clothes possible.
Shoes is definitely could be a problem.
Like I'm okay with like every part of my body being as unflattered and exposed and as possible, but not if my feet hurt. That'd be where I draw the line.
I can understand that. I feel like that's probably a good compromise. I think I'd shower with clothes on too.
If you worked at Long John Silver's, though, it'd be a rough one. Come home in your Long John Silver's clothes and then be like,
yeah, you'd be bringing.
Gotta go wash that in the shower.
Clothes. No,
just ruin your shower.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
Call back, Rob. We want to do some news. A lot has happened.
What? What has happened?
A lot has happened.
Anything?
Are you kidding me? We got pictures of fucking all sorts of cast stuff.
I mean, I feel like everybody's seen that shit. So the stuff for fantasy or for Sigmar, they didn't really address a lot of that, but there's definitely a lot more in Slaves of Darkness coming out. But I guess it's coming out in December. But we've got rules for it already, which is crazy. Somebody leaked the shit out of that. Anyways, so yeah, Tabletop Market Watch. GW releases this weekend are going to be the Imperial Knights. So you got the Armigers and the Dominus reboxes for the Loyalists. Those are 85 and 170 respectively. So 85 is actually an increase on the Armigers. They were 80 after the price increase. So they got a double increase. Oh boy. Chaos Knight Army sets, 265 is the retail on that. I'll break that down here in a second just to give you some ideas / thoughts. Codex Imperial Knights is the only one that's coming out by itself. So all of the Chaos Knight stuff is paywalled in the Army box. So this Codex for Imperial Knights is $55. Data cards are $29. Rift War, Warzone Nachman, yet another supplement book, $55. And then there's some Black Library books and stuff. They're all under $20. Triumph of St. Catherine, Chronicles of Mouse Darkblade, Volume 2. And Hellwinter Gate are coming out this week as well. So value-wise, Chaos Army set about $340, give or take.
It comes with what, the Abominate and 2 War Dogs?
Yeah, you get the box of War Dogs. You get the Codex, the alternate cover, we'll call it, because it's not the collector's edition, and the data cards. So at $265, you basically get the Codex and the cards for air quotes free and GW money, of course. Mm-hmm. But that being said, if you wait for the second wave of releases for everything to release separately, you can get those 2 model kits for less than $265 retail. So most likely it'll probably be $170 for that box, even though all the Chaos Knights are $160 right now. It's up, at the end of the day, like everybody's going to be like, oh, Chaos Knights is my jam. I'm going to get the Army box. I'm going to get the thing, early bird adopter, go for it.
It seems like a good deal. Like if I was going to use the GW Chaos Knights, I would buy that box because it has the Abominate in it.
Right. And the new War Dogs, which, they score and they're doing things, which is really cool. When you can obviously, we talked about the rule where you can sideboard these into other lists, which is great. But there's some folks that are like, you know what? I'm good. I already converted that shit. You've basically got an Abominate yourself already.
I mean, when Chaos Knights came out the first time, we all scrambled to do our conversions. And then they came out with the models, and some of us bought those models. So I just, Wyatt's showing off his
little tentacle man. I sculpted these tentacles. They got.
I wonder where that pic came from.
I made this. This is the first time I actually sculpted something. I mean, it's not hard because you just make like a big long waggle of a noodle, and then I put some circles on it. But yeah.
Did the genie help you?
Yeah, he did.
That's pretty cool. So, some people might just want the book and they're going to like, hey, I'll just wait till it comes out. I don't know. You got to vote with your hobby dollars at the end of the day. I have some thoughts on the Army boxes, but I don't want to get quite into that yet. Maybe we'll save that for a different episode. Obviously there's been some GW previews, 2 of them already. There's going to be another one tomorrow on some of the specialist game stuff. Hopefully we see some Titanicus, fingers crossed. Heresy will be Saturday. If you want to watch that, well, you got to get up at 5 a.m. Eastern to watch it. 2 a.m. I guess you just don't go to bed if you live on the West Coast. So that will be popping off at 10 British Standard Time on Saturday morning. I don't know. I don't know what we want to cover about the previews. I mean, it's all just kind of out there already. The models look fresh.
That Demon Prince, though.
All the models look super cool. Like, yeah, by far the winner is the Demon Prince.
I think the Demon Prince is definitely, something that's been sorely missed.
I don't know, because like when I got into 40K, the metal Demon Prince was still sold.
Mm-hmm.
But they also had the new plastic kit. And even back then, I was like, why would I
That thing sucked.
buy this plastic Demon? This is
the current
so
Demon
bad.
Prince is garbage. That plastic kit is terrible.
I think I've owned maybe like 6 of those metal Demon Princes over the last 20 years because I was like, I have to track that one down because I refuse to buy this terrible Demon Prince kit that's on the shelves. And so I'm just happy that they have like a new one that's going to be out there for people getting into the game or people who like want to start chaos or walk into a shop, and you can see that. Because like when you look at all the stuff, because the way that Games Workshop lays out their shelves is that all the demon stuff is on the Age of Sigmar side. And so like if you're a Chaos Space Marine player, you have to go over to the Age of Sigmar half, look in the demon section, find the box for the Demon Prince, and you look at that model next to like all the new Age of Sigmar models on the shelf next to you, and you're like, this thing is buster. This is terrible. Why would I buy this?
And now it's like, oh. Yeah. So I think
sucks.
Yeah, and with the wings, the fantasy or the Sigmar version versus the 40K version versus the backpack versus the wings, I think it all looks great. Very good aesthetics. I like the four different heads for the 4 different gods. I think that was a very nice touch.
Super cool.
Hell yeah.
They obviously talked more about the chapter proof, which we touched on in the pregame a bit. Hey, there's a second chapter proof coming out. They're going to have some specific secondaries per faction.
They're revamping them.
Yeah, but some that didn't have it, or some that didn't have specific ones like guard are going to get them now.
Yeah.
And things like that. So it's kind of like a almost like a beta test, I guess, in some ways. And they may throttle back other ones. They didn't really they kind of hinted at it, but didn't super say it.
That would be good.
I think, but points are going to be free and downloadable. Same with Sigmar. Sigmar gets a spiral bound one, which, obviously you can spiral bound your 40K one. We've talked about that in the past. I think at the end of the day, vote with your hobby dollars. If it's a value to you to pick up the book for the stuff, then cool. If you want to do that twice a year, but I think there might be some people out there that aren't down for it, and that's your hobby prerogative. You spend your money where you want, I suppose. But it is good to see a concession. However, the ask is a little bit higher at this point, is my personal opinion. Hey, we want you to buy this twice a year, but points are free now, and I'm like, that's a pass from me, dog. But it might not be.
I like having the GT book. It's real handy.
I do. I agree, but I cannot condone that sort of behavior personally. Okay. But
I'll stop buying it for you, Rob.
Don't do that. I'm not telling. I'm not.
You're like guilt tripping me. You can't.
I'll never buy it because of you, Rob.
Thank you, Kenny.
Let's just go to Wyatt.
I'm glad you're seeing reason.
I mean, you're not my real dad, so I'm gonna rebel. I'm gonna keep buying that shit.
You're not my dad.
I haven't bought one of these in ever.
What is money? How does money work? A little bit lighter side of things. There are going to be another round of 40K chibis by Bandai, which I think there was an Inquisitor, the Crimson Fist dude with the little ripped off orc skull helmet, like using it as a club was always a funsy one, and a bunch of other ones. Those apparently will be $5.99 again, coming out towards the end of the year, which look pretty fun. Not too bad there, I suppose. This weekend, there will be a lot, of course, on Horus Heresy and the launch box, and maybe they'll do some teasers for like the Kratos tank, and maybe some of what we hope is dual kits for some of the plastic tanks like the Sikaran and such. So that'd be really cool to see. And obviously you can get up super early to watch it, or, just consume it on your favorite place to get the content and everything out there on the Ethernets here in the near future. I did notice something that we kind of did an article about today on the site, was the GW seems to be offering on their main web store, Forge World product, unless it's just on the UK side. It hasn't crossed over to America because there's obviously supply chain issues. They don't actually make that here. They import it here. Where they were offering the Forge World kits, but not really saying that they're Forge World kits. They did say, hey, these rules are in the Forge World book, but they're like, I think it was expert quality resin kits, I believe is what they called them as the brand. Interesting. It's very interesting to see. Like, not sure if we're going to see that in the near future. Where they cross, maybe they'll add. It was just Tyranid stuff right now, so maybe we'll see some of the knights, the bigger knight models on there after this weekend. I don't know, but it seems like maybe good for their sales. In theory, that's a low hanging fruit that's very easy to convert, I would assume, but. It's just interesting that they're not like, this is Forge Roll. No, they're like, this is an expert level kit and you got to be 15 years old or older to hobby on. Something different. So I don't know what it means in the long run, but it's definitely a real thing and they're doing it. Cool. So I don't know where we're going to get new Forge World kits in general. They haven't really been putting out much. Maybe we'll see a big release with Horse Heresy or not.
I'll just get my shit 3D printed like an adult.
I can see the appeal to that. 100%. So that's kind of the big most of the news out there, I suppose.
Can we talk about Chaos Gate?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, because that released today. So
it's actually out today. Okay.
Yeah, I played it for like 3 hours this morning.
What do you think?
It's really cool. Like, if you like XCOM, you'll like this game. It's XCOM in the 41st millennium. There is some quality of life changes that I would agree with. So if you're a diehard XCOM fan, you may notice there's a few kind of mechanics that are missing. But it makes sense. This is more of like an entry-level game. It can still be oppressively difficult. I did like an hour and a half on normal, and then I did an hour and a half on like hard mode, not the hardest difficulty, but just like the hard mode. And within the first handful of missions, I was already like, oh no, every single one of my dudes is wounded for like 40 days. And I have like 5 missions popping off. And like it can get out of hand fast. So if you want a challenge, it's still there. Graphically, it looks really good. They went with a more sort of like video game comic booky style. So it's not like ultra high fidelity, which would probably have cost like a whole lot more. It's like XCOM. Like it's in the same sort of visual style as XCOM. So things are a little bit more cartoony. They still look nice and clean. It still looks like 40K. It's excessively violent and excessively bloody. Like you'll shoot a cultist with your Stormbolter and he'll just like blast into a million pieces and all of the great 40K stuff. There's some new mechanics in this that are different from XCOM, and that environmental stuff is more prevalent. Like you can actually run over and like kick down a pillar and that pillar will fall and like crush your opponents. There's doors you can open up. You can still explode walls and, create different avenues in the battle space and all that kind of stuff. But the using the terrain to like do direct damage is a little bit more prevalent in this game than in something like XCOM. So that's kind of cool. All the psychic powers are there. That aspect is pretty neat. You can still customize all your dudes just like XCOM. So far, the story is pretty interesting. It's like you get to play as the commander of a Grey Knight strike cruiser, and there's some Inquisitors and there's some Mechanicum people. The tech priest in charge of your ship is pretty funny. Like they're a really fun character.
Seems tight.
Did you ever play the first one? Like it was very
way back in the day,
rudimentary compared to.
I've seen video of it, but I didn't have a computer back then.
I guess it was more like a RTS, kind of before RTSs.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's like a hex-based game.
Yeah. So this sounds pretty neat. I wonder.
Yeah, it's like $40 on Steam, so it's not even full AAA price.
Does not seem bad at all.
Yeah, I may have to jump into it. Those games are pretty fun.
Check some demos out. Yeah.
I've gotten addicted to a few of them over the years.
Yeah, you have. What was that Space Wolf one?
Space Wolf, I cracked out of that.
Yeah, dude. This game is super fun. Like I said, if you are at all a fan of XCOM, you will love this game. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, XCOM was cool. Nice.
Fuck it. Let's go into this meat and potatoes. Like, people listen to this podcast. The clickbait title is Knights Are OP. Chaos
Please
Knights. Please nerf.
They're not OP.
They're not OP.
Aw. But
we got you. We reeled you in with our title.
They're good, though, and Wyatt walked me through some
solid
mechanics, so let's talk about them.
Right. So we had most of the codex last week. I have the full codex now. So there are a couple of data sheets missing. We know what those are now. The War Dog Stalker and the War Dog Executioner there, like kind of process of elimination. We knew what those were to begin with, but we have those data sheets now. We do have some missing stuff. Dread tests. We could not say 100% certainty what a dread test was. Now we know it's a 2d6 leadership test, right? If you
sense.
Just the same way you would pass or fail a leadership check, it works the same way. And that keys off on the Harbingers of Dread abilities. There's a little skull icon next to some of them, in which case you know those are dreaded and have to deal with a dread test. So you can kind of look at your chart and be like, well, if I want to stay, making people do dread tests, I can kind of go down this path or like back and forth, that kind of thing. There are even some abilities that work off of the dread range, which is 12 inches. So if you're within 12 inches of an enemy Chaos Knight, you're within dread range. And there's things like a warlord trait where like if you force people to make a dread test and if they fail the dread test, then the knight heals like so many wounds up to a max of 3, things like that. There was some more relics that we didn't see before, which are pretty cool. They all have their pros and cons. There's a couple of good weapon ones, like the Diamonus is a replacement for the laser destructor that is big boy damage. It's pretty cool. There's a chain blade relic called the Teeth That Hunger. It's a great name. That one's pretty neato.
Doesn't the new it was a Reaper chain, the Reaper chain sword that it has a sweep attack now and it's like 6 damage.
Both of them have a sweep attack now.
Really?
So the I want to keep saying warp talent. It's like the warp claw.
Scourge? Is it a scourge?
No, it's the fist weapon. The named Warp Strike Claw is what it's called. The gauntlet, the punchy fist.
Right.
So that one, the strike or the smash is strength 16 because it's times 2. It's -3 and 8 flat damage. 8 damage.
Wow.
And then it also has a sweep. And it just does less. It does 2 hits instead of 3 hits. So if you have 5 attacks, you're doing 10 instead of 15, right? And that one is more damage, but less AP as well. So you get a plus to strength. So you go up to strength 10, -2 AP, 3 flat damage. And then the Reaper Chainsword, it has less damage, less strength, but more AP. And its sweep is 3 hits instead of 1.
Multiple ways to attack a lot of people.
Yeah, because in the past, it was always like there was one that was clearly the more efficient option that you would take. And now it's like there's like a real argument that both are quite good. And it just depends on what you want to do. So in my opinion, what is going to happen here very shortly is that anybody who can take a knight and possibly already has one or is buying a Knight Titan because they can now take one, is going to take one. So most of the stuff that I'm putting in my list is focused on being very anti-Knight Titan, which kind of has a trickle-down effect of being kind of anti-everything. So I put the Warp Strike Claw on one of my Knights because it's going to do more damage to Knights than the Chainsword.
Knight on Knights.
Some of that hot night on night action.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
Gotta get that only cats. Only Knights.
A lot of stuff is still similar. You have your Iconoclast houses. You have your Infernal houses with the Infernal Table, which is still pretty nice. You've got your Demonic Surge +3 to move, or Transhuman. So if you were wondering if there was going to be some nice defensive stuff in the Knight Codex, you might want to look at the Infernal houses and go for Transhuman. They also have one that
Is that the mechanic where you just take mortal wounds to pick it?
Yeah, so you in your command phase, each model that has the infernal power thing, you inflict 1 and you can roll a D3, and that's the result. Or you inflict D3 and you get to pick. And yeah, so you have +3 to move, Transhuman to wound, or +1 to wound.
Nice. So
all those are pretty cool.
Walk us through your, like, the Knight you were telling me about, like in your list, because
The Abominant?
yeah, these rules have all been out.
Okay.
And I like your combination of relics of warlord traits and stuff is like,
Yeah, we can just walk through kind of what I'm thinking. So
there you go.
when you look at the Knight Codex, you got good guns, you got good fight phase stuff, you got good mobility. Now we've got OBSEC. Dope. Still pretty tough. May not have an invul save in the fight phase, but still overall you're a tough vehicle kind of thing. So what everybody is kind of scrounging for is ways to boost your defense, because that's going to be really important. You have a relatively good armor save. You have a relatively okay invul save against shooting attacks, right? So we're kind of okay there. So I was trying to pinpoint what the 2 or 3 big weaknesses of the Codex is going to be. I think the primary one is going to be mortal wounds, and that in kind of conjunction with the psychic phase. There's a number of big threat armies out there right now that are pumping out tons of wounds in the psychic phase, just mortal wounds all day, every day. And the way to break the math on that is by having a feel no pain, or ignoring those mortal wounds on a roll of a dice. So the way I've kitted out my Abominant, since I'm using House of Extrix, which is kind of what I think is the most sort of just, strength build, basically.
Is House Vetrix considered an Infernal or Iconoclast house?
It's an Infernal house.
It's an Infernal house. So you have the Infernal chart available to you?
Yeah, you have the Infernal chart available. Ooh. So House of Extrix, their thing is kind of unga bunga, because it's like you get one hit reroll, 1 wound reroll, and 1 damage reroll in the shooting phase anytime you shoot, right? Tried and true. Every time a faction has had something like that, it's been really good, right? Emperor's Chosen. What was it? Iron Hands had something like that back in the day, but like it's just a really, really
there are
good
warlord traits and relics all over the place that do that. It's really solid.
So just going with that for right now. There might be something more optimal as we play through that kind of thing, but that's just what I'm starting with. I think it's really solid. They have a warlord trait called Favor of the Dark Mechanicum, and what that does is it adds wounds to your profile. So if you're a war dog, you get +1 wound. And if you're a Titanic model, you get +2 wounds. So it bumps you from 24 to 26 total wounds. Just gives you a couple of ablative ones, right? Especially since we're going to be rolling on the Infernal
rolling
table.
on the chart, yeah.
And the second part of that is that in your command phase, you heal D3 wounds. So it kind of helps with it. Yeah, it helps with chip damage or your infernal stuff, right? I'm going to give him an additional warlord trait because he can. Just 1 CP for an additional one. It's called Infernal Quest. That one gives you OBSEC.
Classic.
Your Titanic models count as 10 models for objective purposes.
That was the first warlord trait we got in the index was Infernal Quest.
Right. So that one just rock and rolls. All your war dogs are OBSEC. Now my warlord can also be OBSEC, right? So Sick.
Get it.
He has a relic called the Soul Raptor Swarm. This is specific to the Abominate because it has to do with the Terror Shade bird keyword. He's the only one with that keyword. And still learning the word for words on this, but the big reason you take this is for Feel No Pain Against Mortal Wounds.
4 up too, the good one.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down to find it because it's a 2-parter and I'm still trying to memorize these. Here's the okay.
I'm wondering if the data cards will be dope for that.
Probably
they come in it. I'm interested to see what they look like.
So this is there's a interesting distinction with this rule, right? So you get a straight up 4+ Feel No Pain Against Mortal Wounds unless they come from your Infernal table. So if you roll on the Infernal chart, you do not get your Feel No Pain against those, but you get against all other mortal wounds. Yes. And that's an important distinction because in this book, there are very few places to get flat Feel No Pain, but there are other places where you can get Feel No Pain only in the psychic phase. So that's also kind of something you'll have to work your head around. And then the other one is that if something is within dread range and a model flees during a morale test, that knight heals a wound up to a max of 3. So also a way to like regen some of those.
He's got a lot. He's got some very reliable and some like offhanded ways to completely undo the Infernal chart, which obviously getting like transhuman on this guy.
Oh, and it gets better. So everybody knows about Blessings of the Dark Master, right? If you've been living under a rock, Blessing of the Dark Master is one of the favors. So you start the game and people cannot re-roll against you. How
many do you got to kill to pop off the transhuman?
For abhorrent class, it's 10. So you have to get 10 wounds from killing models.
Wait, 10 wounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way it works is that if I were to kill a guardsman, I get 1 point because he has 1 wound. If I were to kill a custodian, I get 3 because he has 3 wounds. If I were to kill a rhino, I get 10 because he has 10 wounds.
Shoot the rhino.
You only get those points when that model dies. So I can't just like half health in an enemy Night Titan and get all my points. Like it has to be a kill.
In one volley? Or do you like
just when you kill it?
So like what if I shot a rhino, I only did like 8. And the next turn I do 2 more.
That's when you get your 10.
Okay. Yeah, That's fair.
It's the number of wounds a model has once it's killed. That's the number of points you get.
I'm down with that.
Yeah. So you start the game, can't re-roll against him. And then when he favors, you cannot hit him on anything better than a 4. So it's like you're transhuman to hit, right? So he's got those 2 rules. And we know now with the Infernal table that I can also get the transhuman to wound on him as well, which is pretty cool. So the overall look of some of the stuff that I'm going for is I want to protect myself as much as I can from the psychic phase because I know that's going to hit really hard into knights. I also decided that instead of a real points heavy shooting knight that ends up costing somewhere around like 550 points or something, I'm just going to go with the Desecrator. And the reason I'm going with the Desecrator is that some of your abhorrent class models now have auras that buff war dogs. And this guy gives war dogs reroll hits of 1 in the shooting phase. Whereas the close combat guy does reroll melee attacks of 1 in the fight phase. And since the major power of knights is all their guns, like I figure that's the best one. And that kind of stacks with the Vectrix one. So I'm rerolling 1s. And then if I have a pesky 2 in there, I can reroll that one with the Vectrix reroll, right? It's a lot of synergy. This guy has a relic that's probably going to be pretty popular. It's called Warp Haunted Hull. I believe a relic of the same name was in the previous codex. And
I don't remember.
Where is it? Oh, sorry. That's a warlord trait. Warlord trait of the same name.
Okay.
So this one, you get to deny the witch once as if you were a psyker. So that gets me a second deny the witch a turn, which is really helpful in that psychic phase. And he gets a 5-up Feel No Pain against wounds taken in the psychic phase. So it's not as good as the full-on 4-up Feel No Pain all the time, but it's another way to defend in the psychic phase and have a Feel No Pain against those mortal wounds.
Right.
So that's the reason he has that. I'm going to give him that relic for his laser destructor because it's super good and he can shoot from super long range, try to get his points. And when we were talking about the favors last time, some of the Nurgle ones came up. And after talking to Kenny about this and kind of breaking it down, I did decide to give this dude the Putrid Carapace. So he starts out the game and he has +1 to save against 1 damage weapons. Not that much to write home about, especially in a Big Knight Titan. But when he favors, he goes up to toughness 9. And that's actually a huge math breakpoint that makes him really, really tanky.
Yeah.
So, because most people, their cheap, spammable access to anti-tank is something with a Melta profile. So strength 8.
Yeah,
So
the vast
all of
majority of good weapons are 8 and 9. And look, we've said this before. In this game, right now as it stands, toughness doesn't matter unless it's a breakpoint, right? 4 to 5 is a big breakpoint. 7 to 8 is the other big breakpoint. Going from 8 to 9 is another breakpoint. And that's when we mathed it all out with like transhumans, no rerolls and stuff like that. It's pretty similar math in like fighting. We did the math out against triple Storm Surge. Mm-hmm. And it's almost identical math to the transhuman stuff.
Yeah, and you can also get transhuman on this guy. So, like, you know, if I need to risk eating 3 damage just to make sure that that big gun can't wound me on better than a 4 or something like that, I'm gonna do it because it's worth it. I'd rather take 3 damage than like 18 damage. So he's a pretty helpful thing. I kind of waffled on this for a little while until I saw the relic because that was a page we were missing. Because the laser destructor is not that tight in and of itself, but when it gets buffed and it gets that 3rd shot from the relic, it actually becomes pretty cool.
And you have a built-in reroll hit wound.
Yes, exactly.
And a command point reroll hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's pretty good math.
Right. I have a unit of 3 huntsmen. It's your war dogs with the multi-melta and the chainsword thing they have. Those are one of the cheaper options. They
points are those.
So 145, and then you can upgrade them by 5 points and give them a little melta on top. I have 2 with it just because that's how I had 10 extra points after the list.
What about that rocket pod? Is that worth a shit?
No. It's like strength 5, 0 AP, 1 damage. Sure,
it's not even indirect.
It is indirect, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess so now.
Yeah.
Dang.
So these 2 guys, all my huntsmen, those are kind of your like close range guys, right? They move up, they're getting in melta range, they can fight in the fight phase. So they're going to be pretty close. And you can put favors on war dogs and they're cheaper. And so I was like, well, what 2 things can I do to, again, help with my weakness against the psychic phase? So the first one is I'm going to take the Pyro Throne on one of them. It's Marcus Niche power. You get an additional Deny the Witch, so I have 3 a turn. He can smite, and he can do Psychic Interrogation, so that's another bit of utility. And when he favors, I believe it's not the one where Pyro Throne favored.
4. He goes to 4.
He gets a reroll. Yeah, he gets a reroll. No, that's Curse Rune of Fate. The reroll psychic test. So it's like not that helpful. But having that 3rd Deny the Witch and an extra smite and an extra avenue to do Psychic Interrogation, real good. And he's going to be up close, so he'll be in range. And then the other one is the Caller of Infernal Brass. This is a Khorne marked one. This one's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Again, it's going to be up close and personal, right? This guy starts off the game and he has -2 to cast within 12 inches on enemies. So he's going to be up in there. And if you, again, have a lot of, psychic power stuff, you're going to be -2 to cast. It's real good. It gives him 2+ weapon skill. So he hits better in the fight phase. Great. He gets +1 attack. Great. And when he favors, he cannot be affected by psychic powers, which is fantastic.
It's
and
an
he's going to be
ultimate
like
smite buffer.
Yep. perfect. Like it's amazing.
And that's something we talked about at the tournament this weekend. You know, people with all these mortal wounds coming out of these tier lists, and people were like just like freaking out. I was like, man, you remember like back in the day when we used to smite spam each other? You had to put in your list smite bumpers. Like you had you have to tech around it, and
right.
We used to use like anything that has a scout deploy, forward operating, stuff like that. You had to I had to remember thinking consistently about, oh yeah, I need a thing in case I play Granites. Oh, I need a thing in case I play this. Something that I can put there for a turn to absorb smites, right? This is the ultimate smite bumper. When you have this guy up there doing, like shutting things down -2, you've got 3 denies. I love it. And this guy pops out and it's like, what's the tyranid guy who's doing all the mortal wounds right now?
There's like the Maleceptor. And there's also the Hive Tyrant.
So the Maleceptor is, he casts, he does like a smite, and then if he rolls over a 7, it's more mortal wounds. Like within the closest within 12. I mean, if this corn guy is right there, and still alive, like all of that psychic shit doesn't happen. Like they can't smite him. They can't he can't be the recipient of this. Like, I mean, it's just like, yeah, move your chess piece, checkmate.
So super helpful.
I love that fucking move, dude.
I've got 2 executioners. Those are your Helverins. They got the twin autocannons shooting at range. Yeah, they're strength 7. Strength 7 hurts a lot of things, and it's 3 damage. Pretty good. Got 2 of those guys. They're 155 apiece. And then I have 2 brigands. And brigands is one of the new data sheets. They have 2 ranged weapons that can differ. So on the brigand, it has the multi-melta, and it has the new Gatling gun. And the Gatling gun is cool because I'm going so heavy into anti-knight to be able to, not be, blocked by that. The chain cannon is nice because it's 12 shots at strength 6. It's like strength 6 -2, 1 damage. It's great at clearing light infantry. And 24 shots of that a turn, pretty cool. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 Melta profile shots a turn coming out of these guys, and the laser destructor and the Volkite combustor on the Abominant. So if anything's running around at strength 7 or toughness 7, toughness 8, like I've got an answer for it.
See, I love this so your main dude with the Raven, with the Abominant.
Yes.
So this guy, which obviously has one of our personal favorite, I've seen a lot of configurations float around the internet. So to summarize, he starts the game with, I'm up in the cut, objective secure. Let's say you're playing just like some like standard mission, something's in the center, things on the side. He literally can step onto the center, turn 1, and he's objective secure 10 models, touching the center. Let's say you're doing stranglehold or some shit, right? There he is. Shit, let's say you're doing, okay, now I want to shoot you. Cool, tight. I also made myself transhuman wounding with Infernal. I took D3 mortals. Cool. No worries. I had 2 extra wounds, so I'm barely affected by that. Okay. Now you can't reroll hits or wounds or any damage against me. Right? You're wounding me on transhuman. If I had got a shot off turn 1 and popped a rhino, you can't roll better than a 4 to hit me. Can't roll better than a 4 to wound me, and you have no rerolls. And let's say you have like this wombo combo that does all these mortal wounds on top of everything that bypasses all those rules. I mitigate 50% of those with my 4 Infernal Pain against fucking mortals. Like almost every army that's like, oh, I have an answer for knights. They don't even like this guy shuts it all down. This guy completely shits on every current thing that you target a knight with to fucking erase it in one volley. And by the time you've like started rolling your dice and you realize the error of your way and you want to adjust targets, you realize the cleverness in this maneuvering. All you can do is interact with this guy. And then you get to, move your other dudes into place, start denying powers, and you could really cripple an army that is reliant on mortal wounds and high strength weaponry with, I love it. This combination that you've pitched, I think, is so fucking strong. I am like, racking my brain against it.
The Blessing of the Dark Master Knight is going to be the new.
It's so good, dude.
if anything, like day one, I think is going to cause problems with game balance. It's going to be this, because it takes the tankiness of knights to a level that is a little crazy. I don't know. I need to see it in practice, because like,
I mean, it plays into that new tiered matchup pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think of that fight, I'm just like, all their little tricks are so fucked by you. Like Harpies shooting you with all this transhuman bullshit. He's trying to drop bombs on you. You're mitigating on 4-ups. You pull the fucking corn war dog out, and suddenly all this fucking shit just stops working. You just casually deny a couple. Then he's in a -2 bubble over here. Then he can't even smite over here. And you're just, taking Harpies out, taking Hive Tyrants out. Like, fucking.
Right.
I don't even know how I'd play against that list. Like, because I'm like, normally I'm fuck Knights. You know what I mean?
How do you deal with? So all that being said, there's still a pretty big soft spot, like soft underbelly for Knights. That's the fight phase. There's not a whole lot of ways to get a invul save in the fight phase other than this one favor, as far as I can see.
I don't think there is.
Yeah. And so you're still going to suffer a little bit against some close combat nasty.
Absolutely. But this aberrant or abhorrent that you're throwing out in the center, does his no rerolls? That's melee too.
Yeah, it's all the time.
His transhuman to hit, is that all the time?
Yes.
His transhuman from Inferno all the time?
Yes.
I mean, bro, that rebuffs all of my best shit right now on all my lists. I have to go back to the drawing board. Like, because you're also healing D3 wounds a turn. You started the game with 2 extra wounds. And anytime you win an attrition test and I just casually forget, I lost a guy, you get D3.
Yeah, you're right. So
that's kind of hard. I mean, like, all my best shit gets bounced by that.
So what you're going to have to watch out for is multi-charges, like multiple units charging in to fight before you can fight, or force you to spend CP to interrupt. So units that would traditionally just walk in and like schwack a knight in one phase, it's probably going to take 2, maybe even 3, depending on the math of how many attacks you're going at and the damage and that sort of thing. So it helps for sure. But if somebody rolls in and charges my knight with like 3 Carnifexes, like they'll kill it.
Luckily, the Carnifexes suffer from similar terrain problems as you.
True. Yes.
So, like, player optimized terrain and your positioning, you should have ability to react. I mean, but yeah, it's obviously not a perfect list. Like, it's a different Knight Codex that I'm used to. Like, I normally have tools that casually kill Knights, and now I'm like, oh, no, I don't.
Gotta work for it.
You're gonna pay for killing this Knight.
Yeah, and in many ways, it's going to come down to target priority. So one thing the Abominant kind of suffers in is damage ceiling, with the Combustor only having 6 shots, and I think he only has like 6 attacks. So he's not sweeping like 30-man units.
Hey, what gives you the 4-up Fatal Pain against mortals?
That is the relic that he has.
God, it's such a strong relic right now in the meta.
Soul, and because it can only be taken on an Abominant, because it's keyworded to the Terror Shades, which are like the little buzzards that roost in his armor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought that would be an attack profile, but actually it's a stratagem.
Corporate Eye says Knight step over all terrain that's under 6 inches. Is that a fact?
I know they can step over the duders to get it out of combat.
Yeah, I need to have a clarification on that, because that's huge, and I need to fact check that.
See, where's our stratagem page?
Clarify that, Corporate Eye.
Where would that be in the? Let me go look.
Yeah, you can look that up. Where is it? So it made me really happy that Death Grip is back.
Oh man, that was such a cool.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. Let's see. So
choke him out.
Let's see. Use a stratagem in the fight phase when an attack made with a Warp Strike Claw or Slaughter Claw, or a relic that replaces them, by Chaos Knights is allocated to an enemy model before any saving throw is taken. For that attack, both players roll off. If the strength characteristic of this Chaos Knight model is greater than that of the model the attack has been allocated to, add 1 to your result. If you win the roll-off, invulnerable saving throws cannot be taken against that attack. Otherwise, the damage characteristic of that attack is 0. Very high risk, very high reward.
Ooh, that's a weird one.
He's doing 8 damage with that attack. So a lot of characters are going to immediately die.
Corvidai, you gotta give me some page reference numbers, baby. He's in chat talking about how they're not slowed by terrain, everything.
Super Heavy Walker, maybe? This model is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Each time this model makes a normal move, advances, or falls back, it can be moved across other models, excluding monster vehicle, as if they were not there. And when it does, it cannot be moved within engagement range of such models, but cannot finish its move within engagement range of them. But can be moved, but cannot finish it within engagement range of them. But there's nothing in here about terrain.
Yeah, so they can't benefit from terrain. That doesn't mean they don't take the
unless there's
negative penalties.
Special. Let me look. Special night attachment.
Yeah, we just went over Wyatt's research and development on Chaos Knights. We're here at the end. Corvidai dropped a bomb on us, and we're trying to fact check it.
I'm not seeing it. Would need to know more.
He said knights can step over all terrain under 6 inches. I'm wondering if there's like if he's talking about like the stratagem for fighting in close combat. Maybe it's a stratagem.
I'm also looking it up right now.
It was in the tournament pack for Nachtman.
Oh, we got that too.
So I was looking at terrain traits.
I think he might be oversimplifying something.
Yeah, so there's multiple places where it says like models move over this terrain using normal rules for movement. So there's things like obstacles. It cites infantry, beast, and swarm. Not Titanic.
Yeah. I know that there's I just don't know. This would be news to me, Corvidai. Like, I have not heard one thing about this.
Yeah, I mean, if you have more specifics, that would be definitely, hey, go to this book, this page.
Yeah, so there's a rule for difficult ground where it says the subtract 2, from when making a normal move, advance, fall back, or charge, unless you have fly. Or if the moving unit is Titanic and the terrain feature is less than 3 inches in height. So it's very specific that like if something has the difficult ground keyword, it has to be less than 3 inches in height, or that Titanic model still takes the -2 movement penalty. So that's very like dependent on the piece of terrain and like how it's classified by, your group or the TO at an event you're at.
What's that under?
Difficult ground.
Oh, just the rule for the label.
And there's a Bellicor aligned house, like a Dark Disciples.
Yeah, there's something in the
White Dwarf.
White Dwarf, yeah.
And Key Pie in chat says that there's a stratagem for them to go through terrain and models.
Oh, maybe that's what he's talking about. Because there are other rules like if something is scalable, only certain keywords can end up on top of it. Things like unstable position, where nothing can end up on top of it. There's breachable, which again is only like infantry, beasts, and swarms, that kind of thing.
Yeah, whatever.
Cool.
Just something to keep in mind.
I didn't know any of that. It's all new information to me.
I can look through the stratagems real quick while you guys.
House Corvax. Maybe. I don't know. Movement manipulation, important.
Yes, could be.
And to chat, Garrett's asking, it's like, yeah, it is. There's going to be a lot of knights out there in Chaos Armies. We think it's strong.
And Imperial.
Oh, well, that's the whole idea is to sideboard them in.
Yeah.
I'm looking at knights. I'm looking at even 3 war dogs is a slot in. I think there's lots of play. Lots of play. I'm waiting to see when we get Forge World updates to keywords.
That'll definitely happen.
Oh, yeah. For our favorite Forge World Knight stuff. Knight's popular. Knights in the meta is a good thing because it always makes us think about how to interact with those models. Changes everyone's lists. So. And also, big giant robots are fun as hell to paint and play with.
I like that. I can get behind that.
Yeah. Always makes me happy. Checked out a recent 40K game. Oh, we're talking about Casgate? Yeah, we talked about that earlier on Orthodoxy.
Yeah, I played it a little bit. It was a lot of fun. If you like,
sounds dope.
If you like XCOM, you'll like it. Okay, so on my kind of speed read through a lot of these, I'm not noticing anything that lets you just ignore terrain in the stratagem section.
Yeah, it could be just miscommunication.
Maybe it's
no need to get super derailed about it.
Yeah, well, we got to.
I get it. People tell me a lot of things that are facts all the time, and I'm like,
yeah, because there's other things that like you wouldn't think about unless you play Titanic stuff a lot. Like Titanic has that thing where they can fall back and move and charge as normal, but they can't fall back and shoot. So they need a stratagem to be able to fall back and shoot, and they have one of those. They do have rotate, for the
for 3 CP.
So Diabolic Bulwark is 1 or 2. So
I thought it was 3.
It's in your opponent's shooting phase. When a Chaos Knights model from your army is selected as a target of a range attack until the end of the phase, do a 4-up invul save against range attack. War dogs cost 1. Abhorrent or bigger cost 2.
Oh, it's a different. Okay, I gotcha.
Right, and then they have Infernal Aegis, which is 2 CP. If you have a Tyrant class model, so if you have a Castellan in your army, and it says while a friendly War Dog is close to your Tyrant, you get a 4-up invul against ranged weapons. And that's till the end of the turn. So you play that in your opponent's command phase, and then anything clustered around your Tyrant class gets rotate ion shields for 2 CP. But, you got to bring a Tyrant class.
A lot of points. No worries. Well, I think we did it. We really cut into the Knight Codex today, the Chaos Knights. Shout out to Wyatt for doing all this R&D.
Yeah, sounds fun.
List.
There's a lot of cool stuff in here. I definitely have a feeling that Chaos Knights are going to end up kind of reclaiming their sort of like gatekeeper position of you got to respect them and you got to be able to deal with them, or you're not going to be able to do very well at an event or something like that. So just be prepared for that. Like initially, a lot of people are like, I got a Knight Titan model. I want to put it in my army because I can. And so they're going to be everywhere. And you're going to have people that already have Knight Titan armies, or some people that are going to start them because they're hot and new. So just, spend some time scheming.
Kai Pai actually came through and he said, Inferno House Corvax, Knights of the Shade is the name of the thing he was referring to as a movie.
Oh, from the White Dwarf?
Must be from the White Dwarf one.
Yeah.
Look at that. Might be worth taking a look at. I've heard a couple people mentioning the Be'lakor Alliance stuff.
Yeah, because I believe the House Corvax from that White Dwarf is different than the House Corvax that's in this book, because their household bond has to do with manipulating the Harbinger of Dread table ability. The stratagem Knights of Shade, that's what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's right here. So you can do 2 War Dogs or 1 Titanic model in the charge phase. Till the end of the phase, the selected models can move horizontally through models and terrain features as if they were not there.
Damn.
But that is tied to that specific house. Which is probably why I wasn't looking at it.
That's awesome, because that's way better than the old assault one, which is the one that let you, if something was in a building, it said that engagement range is 2 inches instead of 1 inch. So you can kind of like walk up to a wall and kind of smack in there. I was like, man, I wish this was better. That one is much better. So,
yeah, it's cool. Like, I haven't looked at the stratagems of the different night houses because I was sort of like, you can't build your list around specific stratagems anymore in 9th edition. So I was mostly looking at the bond, the warlord trait, and the relic that you get for the houses. The Corvax has some cool stuff, like no doubt. Like their warlord trait is like doo-doo. But the relic is really cool because that's the thing that lets you turn a failed save to 0 damage once per turn.
We talked about this, yeah.
So
in the hotel room.
Also probably going to be a master card you're going to see a whole lot. Blessings of the Dark Master, House Corvax, Rune of Darkness is the relic. Probably going to see that. And so having this stratagem is cool and all, but the household bond for House Corvax is like not that tight. I would much rather have either the reroll, because I think so. Vextrix is the reroll thing for shooting, and Herpetrax is the other one.
It's my favorite one.
No, Lucaris is the one. So Lucaris has the same rule, but it's for the fight phase. It's for melee attacks.
Yeah, but Corvax definitely has play, like, because that's one of my favorite relics. So there's definitely some play there, and also unlock the stratagem to gotcha bitch through terrain features. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm with it. All right, well, let's get out of here. I think we nailed this one. Wyatt, you want to take us out of here?
Rob?
Is that the thing? This is scary. You can just tell me. You just tell me.
Yeah, we're gonna get our little fun thing though.
I liked it better when it wasn't like this. Anyways, so that's it for this one. I forgot what I was going to say. Consummate professionalism here. Oh, yes. So for exclusive content and early access videos, become a veteran of the Long War today.